Hello and welcome to session 3 of our return to Brindlewood Bay. This is the second month of a returning cast of characters. We had a little bit of swap up. Last time we finished one mystery and we began another one. And this is the Deadly Silent Auction, which is from the Nephews in Peril set that has just been released and is available on Drive-Thru RPG. And we're going to take up sort of in the middle of things here. Last time, our cast of characters went to an auction for materials put up by the late Captain Solomon Heimwinkel, and the brother and sister owner team, the Albertines, oversaw this. We met our cast of characters, including the the granddaughter of the captain, the assistant, a strange sailor, a kind of weird, quiet woman, the caterer, a designer, and a woman who's kind of been just sort of very, very quiet in the corner. And during the auction, there was a piece, the Elder Wing, which is a rare butterfly that was about to be brought up for auction. And when Pierre called back for his sister to bring the item out, she did not show up. Lee, the assistant, was sent back to see what was going on, and she found Pauline dead in the alley, and snow around and so on. You kind of checked to see, you didn't see anybody run past. There's kind of a limited crew of people were here. And I think the only like big clue that is on the table so far is the discovery of that hypodermic needle that was found there. Did I leave out any important details in the course of that? Will, anything I missed?
I think that was, well, I think the only thing that's of relevance is that this is an auction with a lot of old sea captain stuff from Brindlewood Bay, which is, not of relevance, I think, to the murder as we know, but of relevance to the Deep Reaver and etc. kind of conspiracy level stuff.
Certainly out there. Dan, anything you can think of that I missed?
I think you got most of it. I was looking for cause of death, and we think it might be strangulation.
I believe that's the initial assessment that was given.
Right. And the victim has scratches on her hands. That was the only
Yes,
other
defensive wounds. Thank you. Patrick, anything I missed on that?
Well, you missed talking about the obvious murderer, Captain Miller, who, anyone who's that impolite and unsocial obviously has things to hide, and we know what people have to hide here.
Yes, I think going straight for the theorize on that is a good call.
It's what, just a -6 on the roll? It'll be fine.
I think there is a bit after you've kind of done that initial assessment when Sheriff Dalrymple comes in out of the snow. He's got snow pants on and a long coat, and you can see these thermal underwear pajamas. He's clearly woken up in the middle of the night, and he kind of dusts himself off, and there are a couple of his deputies that are moving to close off the crime scene, and he's probably called for Dr. Jones, and he looks around and he's about to like go and talk to Pierre, because Pierre's the man and the important person here, when he sees you three, and that kind of stops him. And he will walk over to you. Now, before we get this, there is one start a session thing we probably should do. Does anyone want to change their XP triggers for the session? That anything they want to shift there? Will, are you happy with the ones you have, or do you need to change any of those?
You know what? I'm happy with that because even if I'm not going after the deputy again, I can secretly undermine the authority of a doctor.
That sounds perfect. What about you, Dan? Are you happy with those choices?
I think I'm going to take off behave like a woman and add share wisdom.
Okay. And Patrick?
So yeah, I did shift mine, so I changed to secretly undermining the authority of a local official, because I might as well get XP for that if I'm just going to do it all the time.
That seems fair.
And I went with did you dote on someone, just to try and force myself into giving a different dimension to Iris.
Dalrymple will walk over and he'll say, so ladies, I kind of have to ask, were you did you swoop in, or were you already on scene?
Well, Sheriff, if you knew anything about antiques and collection, then you would know that Bobby here is Brindlewood Bay's foremost expert on just about anything old and antique. Just like us, huh, ladies?
She says, why don't you three sit down over there for just a little bit? Let me get some statements. Have Deputy Anderson's coming by too. She'll take some statements, and then I'd like to have.
Good. So Deputy Anderson is coming by. I was worried that you would be stuck here working this case on your own, and we all know. Well, it's good that Deputy Anderson's coming, isn't it?
So I'm going to go talk to them, and then I'm going to come back and have a word with you.
That's perfect. And if we see the deputy coming in, we'll send her right to you to back you up.
And you see him go around and talk to everyone. Lee remains upset. Nigel Porter, the caterer, is the one who's sort of the most nonchalant about the situation. He's just like, I just work here. It's just a job. I'd like to go anytime. But everyone else seems, well, they give their statement. It seems like they're pretty matter of fact. Pierre looks upset, certainly about his sister. Doesn't cry or anything, but you can see there's some strain on him as he goes along, and you will definitely hear, confirm what was said before, is that the elder wing is missing. The little box that it was in is empty, and the sheriff does, ask people to empty their pockets, but no one appears to have it on their person.
It's a small thing.
Yeah, it's just a moth. From the illustration of the catalog, it's just a moth with a really interesting pattern on the back of its wing. The sheriff will swing over to where you three are and says, and I've got the gist of what happened with you. I take it none of you murdered the woman?
No.
You caught me, Sheriff.
Rose.
You see him pause in that way that he's like, I made a joke, and now the joke has been taken, and now he doesn't know how to react. He's like, well, I'm going to cut everyone loose.
What?
So
you found who did it?
We're going to have a chance to examine the crime scene, and I'm told everyone not to leave town.
Especially that Captain Miller over there, right? You found out where he was before the auction, right?
Captain Miller, I've gotten his statement, certainly.
Well, and you've had it verified by Witnesses corroborated?
Miss Iris, I'm going to cut everyone loose here.
I'm just
Okay.
saying, he's taller than anyone else in the crowd. He's got a mean look in his eyes. Did you see those hands? Those hands could reach right around a neck.
So, I know where to reach all three of you if I need to. So why don't you head along?
Is
And-
Deputy Anderson here yet?
She's outside talking with some locals, checking the street if there were anybody that
Iris
saw
will just get up and leave.
Go. Rose, Bobby, you can go.
Why, thank you, Sheriff. Well, you know, if you ever need me to sign my confession, you know where to find me.
Say, Sheriff, don't listen to her. And of course, when you need help, you know where to find us.
But I would love to speak to Deputy Anderson at some point.
Well, I think you should just follow Iris out.
Oh, I see. I thought Iris was going over to Captain Miller.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. I will follow Iris.
And you can see that Deputy Anderson is like talking to some people who own shops in the local area. She's clearly taking statements, and you get out there as at the corner of her eye, she sees Iris, and there's like she visibly tenses up. And
Deputy Anderson.
Okay, I think that's enough. Thank you. She shuts her notebook. Miss Iris.
Deputy, it's so good to see you here. I've been worried about the state of this whole investigation. You know, Sheriff, he's doing his show. He's puttering around asking people, but we both know. I mean, I wouldn't ever, but you know. Anyways, it's just so nice to see someone really taking an interest in this case.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you've been talking to everyone, right?
I've been taking witness statements out here, yes.
Mm-hmm. And what have people said about where Captain Miller was before everything started?
I've been talking to shopkeepers and people in the local area, and none of them have mentioned Captain Miller.
You should look into it. He's a really suspicious character. And you know, fishermen, they just spend their day all day with knives in their hands and guts and blood and gore. It's a horrible profession. It warps the mind.
Miss Rose, good to see you.
I think Rose has been hanging back to be able to rescue the deputy from Iris. And I'm like, oh, hi, Sheriff. I did not see you there. Oh, Iris, leave the poor deputy alone.
You know, just making sure she knew who to look into.
I understand, well, of course, you know, the young always need some guidance from their elders. But Deputy, I was wondering if maybe later you might pay me a visit, and we might just chat and clear the air between us somehow.
I'm going to be here late, but I will swing by the coffee shop tomorrow.
I would appreciate that. Yes, please, Deputy. Now, be gentle, Iris. And she pats her on the shoulder.
And Anderson says,
"Oh no, I wouldn't want to get in the way of the deputy's duty. She has important work to be doing. And don't you worry, Deputy Anderson. As soon as I find out more information about Captain Miller, I will pass it right along to you."
Thank you.
I've been scanning the crowd to see if I can find out which direction Lee went in. I would like to dote upon her.
Okay. Yeah, she kind of stays around for a little bit as some of the others are leaving. And you notice Marjorie Buttons kind of stays around as well until Pierre like kind of gestures to Marjorie like you should probably go, and turns to Lee and says, "I'm going to lock up. The sheriff is going to take the key. Lee, you need to go back to your apartment. you need to go and just relax.
So I come over to Lee and I'm like, here, dear, let me take you. Let's have a cup of tea and try and calm down a bit. We can talk over here. And I start to kind of lead her towards the cafe.
Okay. Yeah, you go outside, go walk through the crunching snow. The cafe's open late. You go down to there. You don't usually go in on the Friday evenings because that's when they have the little hipster singers in. So there are a lot of younger people there who are listening to this guy playing the didgeridoo, and he's got some other percussion instruments there. You can also see he's got a stack of papers. You think he's interspersing that with poetry readings. But Priya will see you and kind of cut through the crowd and lead you upstairs. They've got a little rope off. They don't let people up here usually during these performances, but she'll take you upstairs and sit you down and say, Bobby, what can I get you to?
I order some Earl Grey tea for two of us, and I say, would you like some cakes? She'll take some cakes, and
All right. Just give me a minute and I'll bring that up to you. And Lee's, thank you so much.
Everything's going to be okay. I know it's hard. I know you were very close with Pauline, weren't you?
They've always been very good to me. The Albertines, they've always been kind, and they gave me a job when I couldn't get work elsewhere.
You've been working there since you moved to Brindlewood.
I'm very lucky.
Tell me, did you see anything unusual in the alley? Anything at all that you could think of?
Let's have you do a meddling move.
I thought you might say that.
What do you think? Does this feel like presence, or more composure to kind of trying to keep her calm?
Presence again is. I think I'll do composure, and I need to get me some cozy items that are actually useful. Where's the link to the roller? Oh my God.
Oh, let me see. I think it's on the lines and veils.
I do not see it on the lines and veils.
Oh, yeah, it's off at the very top above where Dan's notes are. Here, I'll put it in the chat as well.
Squeaked by with a 7.
So I think that while there's like more that you could probably get out of her, maybe like she said this weird thing about she's the only one who could give her a job. Things there's some bits that that you start to wonder about. But I think then her emotional state cracks and you can't get anything. But she does say, when we asked about those footprints, she says, well, it's so weird. I thought he was only out there for a little while and then I saw the body, but I thought there were footprints on top of the dumpster. Like someone stood on top of it.
Very, very good, Lee. I'm so glad you told me about that.
And then she's just like, clearly after she eats the cake, that sugar just burns out of her system, and she ends up like, even though it's not that far away, she ends up like calling a lift and the lift for Brindlewood.
Right. Also the Uber. Yes.
Yeah, it's also the Uber. He's got the lift, Uber. Murgatroyd is his name, and he drives up and, hey, Miss Bobby, do you need a ride?
No. Please take Lee home, just over there. And I kind of push some more cakes and muffins and things into Lee's hands as she's getting into the car.
And she kind of breaks down, and you hear him go, okay, what kind of music you want to listen to? Kind of ignoring her tears as he drives her like the 4 blocks down to where her apartment is. Maybe we can cut forward to the next day, unless there's something you want to do that evening.
I think the next day would be fine. I think with the NPC that I'm interested in checking out is Alma Heinwinkle.
Okay.
But I feel that the next day is a more narratively appropriate time than that evening.
We cut to the next day. The snow has stopped. It's still that kind of a bitter New England cold that you can get, and the breeze off from the sea, and you will there's probably a phone call between the 3 of you, arrangements to meet up later at the cafe, and that you're each going to check out your own individual leads. So you will go and track down Alma. Now, she actually lives in the captain's old house. So that's a little bit of a just on the outskirts of town. So do you own a car? I've forgotten to ask about that.
Yeah, Rose owns a car.
Okay.
It hasn't come up, but Rose owns a car. Yeah.
So you'll drive up, and it is the old house, clearly built by industry whalers back in the day, passed down. The grounds are unkempt. It definitely has a look of someone who was a recluse for years and years. And you will park in the stoned driveway and walk up through the crunching snow, and the bell, when you ring it, is just a big gonging thing that echoes for a little while. And then you'll see this young man opens the door, and he's like, can I help you?
Well, hello. I'm looking for Mrs. Heinwinkle.
Hold on one second. I will tell her someone's calling. May I say? May I say who's calling?
Miss Rosemary Strand.
Hold on one second. You should probably step in out of the cold. Why don't you come
well,
over?
Thank you, darling. It is so kind of you. So many people forget their manners when it comes to the elderly, and you are doing your generation a favor.
Thank you. When you come in, you can see that there are sheets over many things, but every shelf and bookcase is empty, and all of the chairs and pieces of furniture all have tags on them. And he will gesture you over to clearly a recently assembled IKEA couch that's sort of the other furniture been moved away, and there's like a little IKEA table and a little IKEA couch, and gestures for you to sit down there. And after a couple minutes, Alma comes down. Once again, her lipstick is just verdant crimson. Like, that's clearly she's chosen that as a style. And she comes down and goes, Miss Rose. She waits for a second, and then she goes and sits down on a chair opposite you. How can I help you?
Oh, well, would we have had our auction purchases, or would they still be held at the house, do you think?
They would still be held.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to make I don't know if you remember from yesterday before that awful business. I purchased a compass from your estate.
My grandfather's estate. Yeah, I think the big brass thing.
Why, yes. Yeah. And do we know what ship Heinwinkle used to sail upon?
She goes, let me, the, the, the narwhal, I think.
The narwhal. Huh.
Is
Interesting.
that how you say it? Narwhal?
Well, I believe so. I'm not much of a maritime person myself. I was
Yeah.
always in the literary business. She looks over at the empty bookshelves. You know, my husband always used to say that the only thing sadder than an empty home is an empty bookshelf. I take it you're
Not much of a
selling all
reader
of...
myself.
No? Oh, well, that's a shame, dear. I see you're selling all of your family's... Do you intend to stay on here at the house, or you moving out of Brindlewood?
This house is really old.
Oh, yes.
It's you wouldn't believe what the furnace downstairs looks like. It's an oil furnace, and they have to have people in and have to drive up from Boston to get oil into it, and it does not work well, and it smells. And I had some inspectors in to kind of take a look and tell me what it would cost to have this place brought up to code, renovated, maybe to make it a bed and breakfast or whatnot. And that is not money I want to spend.
I can appreciate that. My dear friend, Robin Masterson, the mystery... I took another Maven move, by the way.
Okay.
As my level up. I'm a secret personal friend of Robin Masterson, the mysterious author of the Gold Crown Mysteries books. I have a dear friend, Robin Masterson, who was... you may have heard the Gold Crown Mysteries. Oh, you're not much of a reader, I forget. But
Sure.
she's a well-known author, and she once purchased a similar-looking affair over near Providence. And the story she would tell me, it was a burden around her neck, and she bought into it rather than inherit. So I can only imagine the financial stress and worry such a legacy must cause you. But I digress, darling. I digress. I was wondering, that unpleasant, the compass, that was your father? That was your grandfather's?
Yeah, everything there was my grandfather's. Pauline was
The entire everything at the auction belonged to your grandfather.
yes.
Why? I feel as though we didn't. Well, we didn't get through to the end of the auction, did we?
No, it was only the first of the auctions I had to do. Pauline was arranging everything, I'd know we were, and so she was taking care of it. And yeah, this was she had chosen out what was going to be in this first set of things.
Well, I understand the auction might be postponed forever under the for a good long time under these circumstances.
Those things will be probably held. I understand that probably the bids will go through. We'll get that all resolved. I would like to get that taken care of. Talk to Pierre about that.
Of course, of
You
course.
know.
I was just wondering if maybe I could, this was just the first lot of many, of course, and surely, knowing her attention for detail, Pauline would have taken a full list in of everything of worth and of note that was heading out. And I was just wondering if, some of these items, they don't do well in storage. They might lose their market value before this whole thing gets wrapped up. If we could help each other out, and I could perhaps take a look at the list, and I could tell you of what might be potential, and I could maybe make you a private offer.
Let's have you make the meddling move.
Yes, and I would like to bring in my cozy little kit of furnishing polish.
Ooh, interesting.
Given that, and I, as I talk about this, and I'm like, you have to keep this old furniture polished. That old hardwood desk of Arthur's, I spend every evening, and if I didn't do it, it would be ruined forever.
I think that's perfect. Even referencing a cozy item feels right.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the cozy items are more kind of bring it in narratively rather than you happen to have it in your pocket,
Yeah.
right? Unless you're a Boy Scout kind of one, I guess. So would that be with, I think that would probably be with presents, really.
Yeah, I think you are trying to kind of push her, manipulate her a little bit.
Yeah, I should totally put my presents up more than my composure. But that is a 10.
That is a 10. So she will say, let me go see what I have. Yes.
Can I before, just let me
Yeah.
remember.
Do you want to mark that?
I do think I want to mark that so we get a. Oh no, it's a 12. That's how we get to a 12 plus, isn't it? I would mark it.
Yep.
Sorry. And I will mark the crown of the Queen, just because I feel like I might end up marking a lot of the voids later on. And it will be how I was an imperfect daughter. And I think that Rose grew up in quite a poor family, and she used to steal money from her mother, who didn't have enough money to begin with, to head out into town and escape the little village the little small town that she was from in the south, and head to the
Nice.
big city.
So she steps away to go and see what she has. She talked a little bit about how she's close friends with Pauline and handling all this and blah, 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 blah. But she says she's not sure what she has. She has to go look at her laptop and so on. And she goes away, and you kind of sitting there, and you will notice on the floor beneath this little IKEA table is a business card that you will pick up, and it has some notes. Like clearly, someone was taking some notes with it, and it is the business card of Newsom, who is the other big antique dealer in town.
Rose slides this into a pocket.
Yeah, you're a little surprised because it looks like maybe there were some offers or exchanges going back here between the two based on the numbers on the back of this, percentages and so on. But then you'll see on the side table the box for the Elder Wing, the little frame box. The Elder Wing was taken out of it, and you saw that empty frame at the thing. So clearly Alma picked it up. Probably not it's probably a piece of evidence, but has brought it back and has set it on the side. And she's clearly going to be a while. You will step over to the frame, and you will touch it, like pick it up, like want to see if there's any like hidden compartments or something like that in it. And I think that the moment that you touch it, your vision shifts, and you will find yourself on the deck of a ship, and the creaking of the sail, the creaking of the wood, and you will see people standing on deck, and they're all standing there quietly at their positions. No one is saying anything. And you kind of look up at the captain who's at the wheel, and you'll see that this is the Deep Reaver. And you pull your hand away, And you realize that this box is actually made with wood from the Deep Reaver.
Interesting.
And you will gain a new move. So if you can hang on to this, you can use it to channel a ghost, to channel a spirit. That's all I'm going to tell you. You can use it if you gain hold of it.
Of the Elderwing.
Of
The
the
Elderwing
box.
box.
Yeah.
Okay. And just for my meta clarification, is that a separate thing to my proposal in the chat?
Absolutely.
Okay.
This
Perfect.
is in the mystery itself.
Oh, wow. Okay. Sweet. Okay.
And this is a void clue you may mark on your void clue totals.
Yes. I don't do much of this. I'm very tempted to day move steal this.
Yeah, you want to try it?
I'm so tempted. It's
You could
such a
steal
bad
it and then leave.
Iris is in the back of your head. Do it. Do it. Just do it. No one's looking. What are you waiting
Yeah,
for?
you know what? You know what? I think that Rose's entrancement with the weird is far enough along that it's not a leap to go from being relatively sensible, you know.
I
to
think
this.
that's absolutely perfect. This is a little bit. I think there's a little bit of sleight of hand involved here. I'm going to make you roll vitality.
Okay, that's fine.
Do you have any cozy items? They're appropriate to this kind of larceny.
Arthur's Pulitzer Prize, which was all about which he got from his book on the pickpockets of Times Square.
Okay, mark it. Take advantage. And that is the last of your cozy items.
It is, but I am acquiring what I am writing in at the bottom as eldritch items.
Yes.
Compass from auction, because I feel that compass is going to could be easily turned into a weird move if I wanted it to.
Mm-hmm.
That is a 9. So
Are you happy with that?
I presume that you know what, I think I'm going to mark the Crown of the Void because that seems the most appropriate one for this. And it is during any intimate conversation with another character, when I put on the pallid mask, I must make a casual reference to death, dying, the afterlife, or the end of all things. I think I do that anyways, frankly.
Yes. And you put it in your pocket quietly just as she's coming back, and she says, I've got it scattered all over in files. You should really talk to Pierre, and he can give you a rundown of what we've got. If I'd like for them, to run things, but if you want to make an offer on something, I'll listen. I don't want to say no.
I appreciate it, dear. At my age, you don't want to wait around for things. You understand?
I understand.
I will, and they are so well organized. The Albertines, not like that dreadful Newsom. I tell you, I tried to sell some of my Arthur's old books with him once, and he couldn't even get the titles right.
Oh yeah, no, I'd never deal with Newsom. I mean, Pauline's my friend.
Of course. Well, thank you very much, darling. And if you ever see me, you ever see me in the book nook, do pop by. I will gladly buy you a slice of pie and coffee for the honor.
I'm more of a Starbucks gal, but okay.
Spits on the floor, cold dead eyes, smashes through the door. Yeah, get out of your house. Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Let's cut away from you leaving with your stolen item, and she apparently has not noticed. Iris.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're questioning people about butterflies and things, but I'm going to confront the murderer.
Okay.
So I think Iris, she grabs up her easel again, and she heads out to, imagine there's like a marina or wharf or something.
Some docks, yeah.
Yeah.
Down by where the fish market is and all of that kind of stuff.
And I want to say she's out on one of the docks. She's got her easel set up and she's painting some of the boats, and just, happens to be waiting right there next to Captain Miller's ship, starting just before dawn and waiting there.
He's retired, but he has a little houseboat that he kind of uses. And so there is that bit where you have to get up early. And you're painting there just as the light is coming in, and you see Miller. And climbs up out of his boat and dusts himself off, and you see him look. And there is used to be an Azar's Big Boy in town for about 5 minutes before it shut down. And it's been remodeled into the local diner, and he starts walking that way like this is what he does every day kind of walk.
Oh, Captain Miller! How funny to run across you again. Hello. Iris, you remember from the auction?
Aye.
So this is your boat?
Aye.
So that auction, that was something yesterday. Murder.
All right.
Butterflies.
Shrugs his shoulders.
Well, kids these days, the things they collect.
Aye.
Tell me, did you know our poor sweet Pauline? You must have had a connection. Please tell me your favorite memory of her. We can have our own little wake here for her.
I think we go to the meddling move on that.
Meddling to move, to pry more than one word out of him. That's probably presents, isn't it? Ooh. So that's a 6.
Are you happy with the 6? The cat says no.
No. Do you know the whole setup of that auction? It was hitting on my mind all day, and I couldn't even think of it till I got home. But there was this wonderful book I read just recently by Amanda, one of the Amanda Delacorte mysteries. You must have read them. Everybody's read them. They're wonderful. You should read them. Let me see. Don't we have a title generator somewhere?
Oh, yeah.
There we go. The Death of the Giant Baboon. It was set in a museum where they were having auctions for these skulls. They were in glass cases. It was fascinating. Strangely, there was a sailor who ended up being involved in the mystery. Maybe it would appeal to you. Push that up to a 12.
Push that up to 12. So he says, Ain't got no good memories of Albertines. And he kind of reaches into his pocket and he pulls out a thing, and he sort of hands it to you, and it's a newspaper clipping. And it's about a accident. It's an old clipping. And you see that there was a car crash, and you can see that Mr. and Mrs. Aubertine were killed in the crash. They leave behind 2 children, Pierre and Pauline. Also critically injured in the crash, Mrs. George Miller.
I think Iris sees that and she's sort of confused and reads it over. And I think she's had this like fake chipperness on this whole time, and she reads the article and she just like there's this genuine look of feeling in her eyes as she looks up at him and like grabs his hand and pats the top of it. Oh, you poor man. It's
looks
difficult
down
when
at
they're
you.
taken from us like that.
He's a little bit taller than you, and he opens his mouth to speak, and his mouth keeps getting wider and wider, and till there's just this black void, and you can hear just this and then you shake, and he's like, let go of my hand.
It takes her a moment to like unclench her hands. Yes,
He looks down like you had like driven your nails into his hand, and you see him kind of step back away from you. Like, what's up with you?
I'm sorry, I was just overtaken with you.
I got to go get me eggs. Got to get me eggs.
Yes.
And he stomps past you.
I think so I think we see Iris, she finally shakes herself out of her stupor and goes to leave the dock, remembers her easel is on the other end, goes back to it and is starting to pack it up, and she just gets a sort of far off look in her eyes. She sits back down on her stool, rips off the page where she was drawing the boat, and starts like charcoal sketching out this elongated sort of screaming face.
And you will do that, and you can absolutely reproduce that in detail. Bobby, what are you doing in the time you have in the morning before the 3 of you are going to meet up?
I'm wondering, Iris, did you go back to your, I missed it, did you go back to your house to draw that picture?
Yeah. Do you do it on the dock, or do you go home?
I think I get it sketched out on the dock before she sort of shakes herself back to reality, and she goes back to her home. And if you want to find her there, she's like on her porch and just covered, like surrounded by torn off drawings of this over and over again.
I'm wondering if I go and have a cozy moment with Iris.
Okay.
Cozy move.
Nice. So yeah, you can see her there on the docks. It's kind of unusual. It's pretty early. What were you doing that you would be out and would see Iris, Bobby?
I think I just wanted kind of an early morning stroll before we meet up at the cafe. So instead of taking the bike today, I walked from my house, and maybe I took a detour to stop in to see Lee and just see how she was doing. And like any 20-something, she was still asleep when I got there. So I just kind of continued my walk down, and I found Iris on the docks, kind of sketching madly in a book.
Bobby. Hi. Hello.
Iris, are you okay? You seem upset.
Oh, no, I'm fine. Everything's fine. I was just out here. I was going to question the captain. You know, Captain Miller, who's very suspicious at the auction, and he was here. That's his boat over there, and he showed me. And you could, like, now that she said it, you could recognize Captain Miller's distended face in this weird drawing she's doing over and over again.
Yeah, I kind of look down at it, and I sort of put my hand on your hands, like, okay, you can stop drawing now. You can stop. Everything's okay. Do you still suspect Captain Miller, or do you feel like he's maybe not the man you thought he was?
I don't know what to think, Bobby. I don't know. Are ghosts real? Could he be haunted? I think he might be haunted.
If I've learned anything in Brindlewood Bay, anything is possible. But I've also learned that a good cup of coffee can fix just about anything. Let's go to the cafe. Try and relax a bit.
Is that the same cafe where Captain Miller went?
Oh, did he?
Okay, no.
Yeah, we go to the hipster cafe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Priya sees both of you coming, comes in. She's already getting your drinks ready. When you come up to the counter, she slides them over to you, and she says, "Give me a minute, and I'll bring Danishes up to you."
And maybe some more Irish, please. It's such a cold morning out there.
Kind of nods.
Can we trigger our cozy move?
Yeah, I think that you can trigger. Each of you can clear a condition, and I will tell you what, Bobby. I think because you kind of did this, we'll kind of loop in the fact that this started from this moment of art from Iris, and I think you will see. As you're kind of up there on the landing, looking down on Priya, that kind of like early morning light where you're seeing the motes of dust in it coming in, and you kind of lean forward because you see two people out on the sidewalk that are talking very intensely, and you will see Pierre there, and that designer Hazim, and they're like standing very close, clearly talking very tightly, very very intimately, and then there's a moment where they kind of look around and realize how in public they are, and they kind of maybe take a step back and kind of nod and then head their separate ways. But boy, they were like clearly know each other well, or clearly friendly, something that just the body language there tells you that there's certainly a tight connection between them.
I think I ask Iris, are you going to be okay, dear? There's something I need to go check on. You should sit here and just relax a bit. Rose will be along any moment.
Of course, I'm fine. I'm sure she's being silly earlier.
And I want to go after Hazim.
Okay, and the conversation itself counts as a clue.
Okay.
But you can get out on the sidewalk and you'll see Hazim. He has stopped and he is looking in the window of a consignment shop, and kind of looking in. It's a little bit early, hasn't opened yet, but he's kind of taking a glance to see if there's anything interesting, and he sees you coming. And I think you had a conversation with him.
Yeah, we had a nice moment.
Yeah.
I think.
And he will say, "Bobby," right? I hope I'm not being too informal.
No, of course not. Of course not, young man. It's nice to see you again, though. Obviously, the circumstances are very difficult. You must be devastated.
I've never been that close to someone who's died, and I've never been asked not to leave town.
Well, welcome to Brindlewood. Happens almost every week here.
I had heard that, but I dismissed it as sort of local folklore rather than anything real. But yeah, how can I help you?
Well, I just was wondering if how long you were going to stay in town.
Well, quite frankly, until the sheriff lets me go.
Oh yes, of course.
I've called my offices and told them not to expect me for a few more days. So we will definitely see about that. And he kind of reaches in his pocket and pulls out his business card and hands that to you.
Oh, he's the fashion designer.
Yeah, he says, I maybe while I'm here, you said that you had some jewelry and things that you had.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've the collection is small, but if you're interested,
At some point, I'd love to come by, and I like to see old things for inspiration, and maybe I can take a few photographs if you wouldn't object.
oh, that would be fantastic. Um, um, uh, what sorts of pieces are you interested in? Is there any themes?
Well, I certainly like things with local color. That's part of the reason I come up here. There's this sort of retro feel that's in vogue right now that I'm especially interested in.
I think Bobby goes off a little bit on not just local flavor, but also sort of the history of antique jewelry, sharing her wisdom with this young
Absolutely.
person in a way that I would not know how to do.
Do you think this rises to the level of meddling, or you're kind of trying to get something out of him in this conversation?
I think she's very much in her element, and so is kind of nudging and pushing and seeing what his interests might be, and yeah, what his attachment to Pauline might have been. Like, were there any pieces in particular that you were looking at in Pauline's collection? That kind of thing.
He's a little vague on that. Let's have you make your meddling roll here.
All righty. I need to use my will level of imagination to try and connect. Maybe I'm going to mark the WD-40 if that's okay with you, and talk about sort of special tricks that I've learned to invest in antique jewelry.
I think that's perfect.
All right, cool. And I'm going to roll with reason, I think. It's a 6 and a 2. Plus 1 is 9.
You happy with the 9?
Yeah, let's make things complicated.
Okay. I think you have this conversation. You kind of feeling him out. He talks about a few things, and then he's like, "I should probably get along, leave you to it." And he steps away and nods very politely, heads up. And you notice that when he went into his coat pocket to get his business card for you, that he dropped like a paper napkin, and it's there on the snow, and you'll kind of pick it up and you can see that it's been folded, and in clearly a block print trying to disguise handwriting, it says, "I can help you." And then there's a phone number, but it fell in the snow, and the water immediately starts to turn that ink, and it blooms, and you can't see exactly what the number is. Like the last 4 digits are incomprehensible.
Got it.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I like it.
Let's take our break for 5 minutes here, and then we'll come to the three of you meeting up and move forward.
Lowell, can I ask you a community question? Gauntlet community question.
Sure.
So I set up a game for November specifically for new Gauntleteers.
Uh-huh.
My hope is that I haven't announced it yet. My hope is that we're going to get a slew of new Gauntleteers because of the open gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know? Have they been invited to Slack? Like, what do you expect to be the timing of new people coming into the Slack?
Well, I've added maybe 3-4 people, and I'm going to kind of follow up. I'm going to follow up actually with my groups, people I played with this week on Monday, and say, hey, if you want to,
Okay.
feel free. I might do midweek.
Okay.
And then like, I think setting it for the first, 48 or 72 hours, only new members sign up if you want to do it that way. That's what I would recommend.
Okay. I was going to do exclusively new members.
Okay.
But then if we need to fill it out, we can.
That certainly makes sense.
Yeah.
Let me grab this here. Where is yeah, here we go. I'm going to grab the text of this new move for you.
Wow.
Oh, there's a little bit of text that got left off, actually, that's even more important.
Oof.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's a little bit important, Lowell. Okay. I will put that weird move into the character keeper on the base.
That's a good idea.
And I will also put my one in if we're accepting that one. I know I haven't used it yet, but I will be using it shortly this session, I think.
Okay.
Hopefully I won't be using I will go down with the ship.
We can hope. I think that the 3 of you will meet up to have a conversation. Maybe kind of just about to start in on this. When the front door of the cafe opens, and you will see Lara Sanchez walk in. And she looks up and she sees the 3 of you on the landing, and she waves. And
Friend
she
of yours?
The friend I was telling you about.
Oh, with the microphone
Yeah.
and the YouTube cast?
Yes, kind of, yes. Lara, hi, honey. You made it into Brindlewood. So good to see you.
I heard there was another murder.
Why, yes, there was another murder. It was there was another murder as well in a whale museum.
I read about the whaling museum one, but that there was one last night, I'm understanding from the radio.
Well, yes, at the auction house.
Oh, I don't think we've met. I'm Lara Sanchez.
No, please. I'll just introduce myself. I'm Iris. Iris
good.
Glenn.
Sorry,
you're a bit of a
that's my
celebrity.
fault. That's my fault. We're old friends, and I kind of butted in here on your conversation. I apologize.
It's all right. Iris always prefers to introduce herself anyway. Last time I tried, she said I did a great disservice, and I will never make the same mistake again.
Well, I just have to say I don't appreciate the phrase "our town's best little painter."
Would you rather be the worst?
So you paint. What kind of painting do you?
Oh, nature studies, things about the natural world around us. There are several in local museums. You should go check them out.
If I have a chance, I was just kind of passing through. and I thought I would stop in and say hi.
Oh well, that's fair. You're on the road, but what are you doing at 2 this afternoon? The Whaling Museum is open all the way till 4, and we can take a tour through the art gallery. There's a local art gallery. I'm heavily featured.
Well, it'll depend on how my interviews go this afternoon.
What
That's
brings
perfect. That's perfect. I'll find you around 3:40, 1:45.
So are you back to investigate this particular murder, Lara?
No, actually, I am following up on the Whaling Museum murder and kind of doing some interviews with various people around town, and I've made maybe a couple of appointments to talk to some of the people involved, talk to the deputy and some other people, maybe get a little information out of them about that.
And you didn't think to talk to your old friends who were right there and solved the whole thing?
Look, I'm here right now.
The young, they always, well,
I came specifically to talk to you.
Well then, perhaps you can pick up our tab downstairs and buy us all another round of coffee and cake, and we'll be happy to discuss whatever questions you have.
I'll go down, talk to Priya, and get a full round of things. Hold on.
As she goes downstairs, Rosie's face goes from smiling to just fucking like.
Yeah, Bobby hasn't even made eye contact or looked at her or anything. She's just sort of sitting there, kind of passive aggressively, stirring her coffee.
Is she famous? Are we going to be famous now?
She's famous in a way that perhaps wouldn't quite make sense to you, Iris. You have to be casting the pods and tubing the news and things like that, you know?
I see. I'm just good enough to be this tiny town's best little painter, but I can't be trusted with details and secrets. I understand my poor little artist brain would just melt.
I mean, the only secret I'm telling you, Iris, is how to use the internet, and we tried that. Didn't end well for either of us.
It screamed at me.
Because you threw it at me. Anyway, we have more important.
Ladies,
Lara.
The real enemy here is Lara. We need to get
Yes.
as much information out of her as we can. Iris, you doing your thing would be perfect. I am not going to talk to her at all. So
I don't know what you could possibly mean by my thing, but I will see what she knows and pry out her secrets.
Yeah, comes back upstairs. She's got a tray. She's got a couple of cakes for everybody, and the coffees. What Priya said you order, and sets those down, and she has a little thing of herbal tea, and she says, "So dish."
Well, what was the name of Professor Schwartz's thing again? I need to write that down.
We've got clues under Whale of a Crime. Oh, his university?
Yeah, the liberal arts college with the prestigious thing. We don't need to find the specific name.
Grimes and Throckmorton.
Grimes and Throckmorton. Well, it was all a rather interesting scandal. The key to the case was this fascinating academic from Grimes and Throckmorton, studying her face for any kind of recollection.
Oh, she goes, Grimes and Throckmorton. That's a college near here.
Oh, why? Do you know it?
I know of it, yes.
Oh, you never been?
No, I don't think so.
You've driven by it, maybe?
Probably.
Well, anyway, yeah, it was all about this, these rare sort of whalebone. Have you heard of this? Scrimshaw?
That's like some kind of carving or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes. Sigils, symbols, runes, that sort of thing.
But well, it's been quite some time since you've been here in Brindlewood, hasn't it, Lara?
It's been a couple months, yeah.
Wow, things must have changed so much.
It seems like exactly the same place, but with more snow.
Well, and 2 less people in it.
Fair enough.
Which, now that I think about it, is rather a good rate for Brindlewood.
You record for us. Why did you take off so suddenly after the last mystery? No, actually, I'm going to do it in a more passive aggressive way. I'm going to say to Rose, I wonder why she took off so suddenly after the last mystery, after we had been through so much together.
Not even looking at her.
No.
Yes, Bobby. I agree.
Sorry, I had to
Well,
get back to
you said she was a very important person. I'm sure she had very important things to be getting about, didn't you, dear? Tell us about your various... No, don't stay silent. Please tell us.
I had to get back to do the editing, get the podcast recorded, get everything together. I had just a small portable with me there. That was quite... I will admit, seeing those women gunned down was not what I was expecting.
No, it was a tragedy, I admit. And do you know what we went through the night before? It seemed to all make so much sense, but I guess that was just, silly old women getting ideas into their heads that reading mystery novels is the same as being an important real crime podcaster such as yourself. Tell me, do you remember what we saw down there?
I'm sure she remembers, dear. Journalist, podcaster, mind like a steel trap, I'm sure.
Iris, don't give her the benefit of the doubt.
The caves we went down into.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you almost drowned down there. It sounded very frightening.
It was a little damp than more worried about the grit in my clothes afterwards.
Why, yes, and it's the funniest thing. Me and Bobby have been down there several times, and we have never been able to find remember that shrine on the inside? I'm starting to think we all reimagined it.
No, I'm pretty sure we saw something. I don't remember precisely.
Maybe if she had come back to spend some time with us, we all would have been able to find it together, but she didn't.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You think you're friends with someone?
Bobby, behave. She's here now to investigate a murder from weeks ago?
She shows up
on the eve of yet another murder?
She shows up when she needs something from us. To get her views and her visits and her hits. Please.
And she's clearly kind of like, okay, maybe I should exit. It seems to be the message in her body language there.
Now, Bobby. Lara here is an honorary mystery maven. Okay. Have you read the book I gave you, The Deadly Claw?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that actually was what reminded me in the last little caper about how the murder weapon was clearly a piece of scrimshaw, and it's reminded me so much of that.
That's right. I've forgotten that.
But tell me, have you managed to speak to anyone about the auction house?
Not yet. No, I was just going to talk to Deputy Anderson and some other people around.
Oh, who?
Some other contacts.
Come on now, darling. We are all friends here.
There's some things I'm talking to people off the record. I really can't say.
Oh, we're entirely discreet. We're completely off the record.
Should have made the weird move when someone touches the black scrimshaw, they cannot lie to you. I thought that would break the game.
Do you want to push on her?
I do want to push on her. I want to, in some way, I'm thinking of either discreetly following her or like pushing her to slip in the conversation or rooting through her bag when she's in the toilet or any kind of thing.
Let's have you. Yeah.
I might storm out and rifle through her car.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is the day move to because this isn't about getting clues on the present mystery, but this is about something else.
That's fair.
You gonna go out on the day move?
No, I don't want to distract us.
Okay.
I was starting to feel Bobby's resentment.
Yeah. Well, why don't you roll there, Rose?
Okay. A medal. And I think this is meddling with composure, actually, because it's all about keeping a straight, not letting out as much, getting more information out of her than I could possibly giving to her.
Absolutely.
So that's D6 plus 2. That is a 9.
Nice.
Now, do you want to bump that up, or do you want to use the gold crown since you still have one left?
What would the complication be?
Well, the complication will certainly be that you probably won't see her again. She probably will evade you.
Evade us. She won't come to us, but I could perhaps find her. Would that be?
Maybe not.
Go on then. I will take off another crown of the queen.
Okay.
And the scene in the present day, how I satisfy my physical desires, is Rose bakes a hell of a lot. She has indulges herself with the finer things. It doesn't eat much nowadays, but when she does eat, it's always like the finest stuff that you can get hold of in Brindlewood Bay. Physical, kind of like, not one of those old women who just starts eating nothing but bread and cereal and stuff like that. Like, she just eats gourmet stuff, even if it's only the tiniest little amount.
She stops, and you see her reach into her bag, and she pulls out, it kind of stops you and pulls out a mini recorder. And you see her kind of like click through. It's got like some timestamps and things like that. And she puts that on the table, kind of looks around and pushes play. And you'll hear this voice, and you recognize it as Pauline's voice. And it says, okay, so you're not home. All right. You should really call me back. I'm really afraid that he's going to find out that I lied. So call me. And then there's the beep.
Okay. And where did you find that, Lara?
That was sent to me. MP3. It's an email from someone here in Brindlewood. I don't have a name. But there you go.
Well,
she says, I need to go. And you see her kind of pick up like a copy of the receipt, kind of looks over it, and then kind of sets it down and says, I got everything. And Tip, we'll talk with you later. And she kind of pushes the receipt over to you. She had it in her bag for a bit, and she slides it over to you. And then she goes, I need to go.
Bye, dear. If we find out anything, we will let you know, of course. Do pop by later and I will bake you some of that brownie that you like so much.
She'll look at you and she says, if I can.
Of course. She leaves.
I don't know from evil conspirators, but for a famous person, at least she was nice enough to pick up our tab.
I suspect that Mrs. Strauss might be filling the pockets of a poor podcaster.
I look at the receipt. Was she trying to send us a message or anything?
There is a note written on the back, and it says, "You need to stop. The midwives of the fragrant void are watching you. I'm sorry."
Bobby, you look pale. Are you all right? Is your cake not sitting well with you? I told you shouldn't have had that second piece.
I pass the note to Rose. And I say, it seems our friend Amanda is still around and is perhaps not happy with our efforts.
Well, you know, it hurt me so much to find out that Lara was working, but at least now we're with them. I don't know if it hurts me more to find out that she may not want to.
She may have gotten in over her head.
Maybe. But it don't change nothing.
No.
But at least we have a name. Did we know the name before, the midwives?
You're muted.
No, I don't think you've heard the full name before.
At least we have, yeah.
It fits with the symbols and the signs and all of that you've seen.
Yeah, and I just slide it down and I say, at least we know their name now. Those bitches took my Arthur, and I ain't ever gonna stop.
So back to the case at hand. What's your group's next step?
Was that a clue that we got?
Absolutely. Yeah. The Pauline message is a clue.
And we couldn't recognize the voice.
Yeah, it was definitely Pauline's voice.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was Pauline's voice on somebody else's answer machine. I'll be honest with you. I feel like Rose is going to retreat back to her house and do some spooky stuff. But I obviously have passed on the Newsome note for any kind of further leverage that you might use when talking to people about the auction and things like that. I'm going to try and use magic to shortcut to speak to the dead, I think, at this point.
I'm curious as to what Rose says she's going to do. Does she tell us, or does she come up with some lie?
Oh, no, she totally lies. She says that, I have a call with my daughter in London later today. I'll be busy for a while, but I'll meet up with you later, huh? Need to speak to some old... No, it doesn't. I have a call with some close family friends. Someone I haven't spoken to in such a long time. Because I think the way this is going to go is that she's going to try to speak to Arthur, really. But, you know.
Fair enough. So let's do Bobby and Iris first, and then we'll come to your seance. Bobby.
Yeah, I think Bobby, I think having heard from Rose about Newsome, did I get that name right?
Yeah.
She's obviously familiar with them and takes over that part of the investigation. So she heads towards the antique shop that Newsome runs. Is Newsome the name of the company or name of the person?
That's it's Newsome's, and it is the guy's name is Newsome.
It's like Newman on Seinfeld. That's his only name. That's
right.
Yes.
You will head over there. It is a larger, clearly does a lot of mail order and online stuff as well. There's a lot of turnover. He has some staff that are there. He's got big frizzy hair, but the like almost a widow's peak of frizz. And he's comes in, hey, Miss Bobby, how you doing? Come. New boxes, some new rings came in, got some new estate things. Come and check it out.
Hello, Newsom.
Hello, Bobby. Come on over here. No.
I'm
Your
not
hands out, like you're saying no. You're hurting me. You're killing me.
You know me. I would love to talk to you about this stuff. I need to introduce you to my friend Iris. Did you come with us, Iris? Come with me, Iris?
Sure, totally.
All right. I need to introduce you to my friend Iris. She produces.
Is this Iris the painter?
Oh yeah, the one and only.
Yeah, reaches out his hand, shakes it, and puts his hand there and puts the other hand on it and shakes it. So good to meet you. So good to meet you. I've seen your things at the Whaling Museum.
It's always nice to meet a fan. Oh, which piece was your favorite?
There's the one with the beach, like you're walking down a path on the dunes, kind of thing. It's really lovely.
Oh, yeah, that one's nice. I have some new works. You can tell that was really just a first take at it. It was sort of a terrible piece, but I've really evolved since then.
Local artists are hot right now, like local painting artists, things like that. If you ever decide that you want to sell some things online, I can get you set up. I can help you out. Make a little affiliate website for you, and we can do some scans and get some things up there. If you're interested, just keep that in mind, okay?
Well, I do usually join in the craft fairs in the summer, and I make a modest profit. I sell most of my paintings between $8 and $12.
I can guarantee that I can get you at least 10 times that, if not more.
What?
Absolutely. No question. I can do
more?
That. Yeah. I'd even be willing to buy them on consignment, where I pay you as if to say, I'm guaranteeing that these things are going to sell.
Mr. Newsom, I believe we may need to talk about some of this. Sounds
absolutely. Well, he gets out his card. It's done in it's like a lavender purple paper with a bright red raised ink, and he hands it to you. Okay, there you go. You give me a call, okay?
She fumbles around in just her pocket. No, that one. Oh, here. And she pulls out. She has a hand painted business card that was obviously cut out with scissors. It's not even quite straight lines. And it has Iris Glenn, professional painter, on it.
Nice. Good look. He puts it in his. He pulls out a little business card case and puts it in there very carefully to show you that it is getting position of pride there.
Newsom.
Bobby.
Yes, Newsom. You heard about what happened at Albertine's.
Did not see that coming.
What a mess, huh?
I mean, we're rivals, but I wouldn't. I mean,
no. No, you are professional through and through, no doubt.
Pauline was a doll, just an absolute doll.
Wasn't she lovely?
Yeah.
I loved spending time with her.
And who would have thought all that mess over a butterfly? Not even a butterfly, just a moth.
Newsom, what can you tell us about that moth? Don't hold out on me.
Meddling move.
Iris, do you want to roll?
Sure. I think this is reason. I'm going sort of off of the clue off my answering machine, and I'm trying to press him for there's obviously more value hidden in this somewhere than anybody's let on so far. Oh, that's 7.
Are you happy with that, or do you want to bump it up to the next level?
I would like to get a little sneak peek at the complication.
So I think that he is. once you ask about this and he realizes the nature and importance of what he's about to tell you, that he will probably be calling a couple of people, the sheriff and Albertine and so on.
Oh, no, we don't want that. And I don't like that look that's starting to creep into his eye where he might start being suspicious or less happy towards his new favorite artist. Yeah, I'll spend a crown of the queen.
Okay.
And we'll continue on with this, and I'll do a flashback or a flash over in a little bit.
So, I'm not going to speak ill of the dead, but and he pulls out like an index card, and he has a list of some items, including the elderwing moth, and there are 2 rows of numbers. And he will say, I had a chance to look at some of the things and get some appraisals and so on. And there are some pieces that the Albertines lowball, I think, is a generous way to put it. And he hands you this index card, and there are a number of items that are like the Albertines' valuation is 10% of what Newsom has from his person. And the moth, he says, the best estimate I got for the moth, if it is in pristine condition, because that moth no longer exists and hasn't existed since the 19th century, is $1.2 million.
Million?
$1.2 million.
To be clear, Rose doesn't have the moth. She just has the box that the moth has.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, that's exactly.
All right. Let's try, Rose.
They're young. Maybe they could have just made a mistake in their event. It's a big mistake.
Now, I'm not saying that it wasn't obscure to find that information about the Elderwing, because people don't even think it exists anymore, or and it's an obscure thing. And the kinds of people that would buy it are high-end collectors and biological museums. But it felt to me like it did not sit right with me. Now, mind you, I will certainly lowball people on things. I'm not going to say I don't. I'm an antiques dealer. That's how it works. But I would never do that.
Again, reaching through pockets, surely we have a brochure or something still from the auction.
Mm-hmm.
What were they listing the moth to start at?
The moth was started at $3,000.
It seems like. So, tell me, Mr. Newsom, if you were involved in an auction and you found out that someone in your organization had undervalued something that far, I mean, you're an honest man, but I think even you might be tempted to lose that item before the auction started.
I'm like, Iris, Newsom is one of the most honest, professional, forthright dealers.
I put a ringer in. I put a ringer in the audience to bid on the item. I'm going to be absolutely straight with you. If it was that much money and I had already walked that far down the lane, that's what auctioneers do. They get somebody sitting in the audience bidding. They put it at a low value. They sell it to them for, I mean, who's going to pay that much for a moth if they don't know the value of it?
See, Bobby, clever and honest when it matters.
These are old auctioneer tricks. This is not like anything new.
I thought you were different, Newsom.
I have to know these things. I have to make sure I'm not getting scammed.
You're absolutely right. Now, did you? Why didn't things work out with the captain's family?
I was the Albertines were doing lots of things. I was actually talking with Alma about the undervaluation, and that maybe she ought to come over and like move later lots over into my hands. That was still in progress. And so that's mostly a kind of a clarification of the business card. So that's sort of expanding on that clue. He says, look, I got to get going. But it's been lovely talking with you. And you know what? One of the things I love to do, I love to go to business dinners and then deduct them from my taxes. So maybe next week, Iris, I take you out to dinner, we talk painting, and I get a little tax break.
Well, that would be nice. Nowhere too fancy, mind.
Well, yeah, sure. We'll figure something out. And he will say, Bobby, when you have a chance later on, I know you're mavening it up, but come back and I'll show you what I've got in the jewelry case for you.
That sounds great. And I might have a new buyer in town for you, so I will see if I can send him your way.
Oh, excellent. Thank you so much. You guys have a good day. Let's do Rose, and then let's come back and have Iris call a scene. Does that sound okay? Rose, go back to your house.
Draw all the curtains again, the same, without the breakfast this time. And Rose puts down the case on the table, and then pulls out the scrimshaw, and she holds the scrimshaw tightly, and she's just like, I know this worked. This is something. How? I'd give anything to speak to Arthur again. And she thinks, what would Amanda Delacour do? And she thinks of, I should have rolled a name before I did this. Let me just grab one quickly. The book title generator. She thinks to the case of the crystal in the dust, where it was blood. Cutting yourself with a crystal would, the cultists that Amanda Delacour was investigating believed that cutting themselves with this crystal would give them access to its powers. And she looks, and she takes the jagged end of the sharp end of the scrimshaw, and she raises a sleeve, and she just carves a line across her arm, and she closes her eyes and listens. And if I'm allowed, I would like to use the Golden Crown Mysteries move on the occult move.
I think that is
it doesn't
fair.
specifically say So I thought I would cheese it so that I can definitely use this weird move rather than.
So
not.
on a hit, it works.
Yeah.
And now all mavens can use it for the rest of the game.
Uh-huh.
And perfect. I'm going to give you a vision from that, but then you're going to have to roll for the move itself.
Sure.
I think that you will like feel a hand on your shoulder and feel something kind of slide past you, and you see this woman's hand, and it kind of stays on your shoulder there, and you can feel that even as you're doing this, that there is some presence that is watching you. Now, I will give you a benefit in a moment, but I'm going to have you roll the move itself.
Okay. With my 1 in sensitivity. I think I have a 1 in sensitivity. Yeah. Yes, I do. That is an 8.
And I think that you will, because at first you think it must be Pauline, maybe her ghost that you're kind of calling up, but you look up, and even as you feel the hand on your shoulder, you look up and you see Pauline across from you, and she looks at you, and you see her reach up and kind of pulls down her collar, and you can see that there is a piece of silken rope that is wrapped around her throat. And she tries to pull at it, but she can't get it loose. And she points again at it. And that is the clue. And that's when you hear the squelching and this sort of wet sounds, and out of the corner of your eyes you see the tentacles moving in, and like you see the ghost of Pauline's eyes get wide as her head tilts up and she looks at the person who's behind you, and then the ghost is gone, and you hear Amanda Krause's voice say, "She warned you, didn't she?" And you feel the tentacles rub against your ankles.
And Rose, shaking, says, "I never needed to be warned to see no snake."
You have no idea, and it's gone.
Can I just add a thing? When the ghost disappears, it's because a tentacle wraps around that same place as the rope and then pulls her away.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah. Cool. Rose is shaking, and I think the scar left behind by this, like the cut is healed, like ridiculous. Like it's no longer bleeding. It was quite deep and it bled a lot, but it's and now there is just a black line on her arm where the line was.
Tentacles and Krause is your 12th void clue.
Tentacles and Krause is the 12th void clue. Nice. Rose goes and gets the brandy down from the top shelf.
Iris, Bobby kind of led you to the antique store. Where do you want to lead Bobby to? Where's your next port of call?
I'm not quite sure.
There's some NPCs we haven't really talked to yet, like the caterer or Marjorie Buttons.
Buttons wanted the compass. That's the only interaction we've had with her so far, I think.
Yeah, maybe the caterer.
Okay.
I know he had cleared out by partway through the auction, but maybe he saw something before, or maybe he got pushed out or something.
Absolutely. You'll head down to his little catering shop. Really good smells coming out of it. You can see he's got some people in the back cooking, preparing some things. He's there. You see him kind of looking over his invoices and so on when you come in. Oh, hey. Can I help you two ladies?
Mr. Porter? Nigel, right?
Hey,
Nigel?
yeah, just Nigel.
We just wanted to talk to you. We were at the auction yesterday.
Oh, yeah, I remember you two. Yeah.
It's terrible business.
Oh, yeah, I've been talking, 2 visits, sheriff, deputy both came by, went over my statement again. I mean, I was just catering. I don't know what else I can tell you.
Well, I mean, it must be strange. I always find it odd to be wandering through the back entrances and the sort of staff areas of a public place like that. It's like you see a whole different side of things.
Yeah, I mean, you see the help, and people don't usually watch the help. People don't pay attention to the help.
You usually just walk right by them. It must have been interesting, though, to see them bringing in and out all of the different auction pieces.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing.
Were you dealing
It's over at Bobby.
Were you dealing with Pauline or were you dealing with Pierre?
I dealt with both of them, but he kind of pauses, and he says, I had to kind of deal with both of them because they were back and forth and some things on that.
Some disagreements as to how to do it, how to cater it.
Yeah. Let's have you. Who made the meddling move roll last time? That was Iris, right?
Yeah.
So Bobby, let's have you make the meddling move here.
Okay. I'll use composure for this. I'm going to mark. I had taken that tattoo encyclopedia as a cozy item. Is that all right?
Yeah.
And maybe he's got some ink, and so I am sort of commenting on that.
Yeah. If you say, oh, this is, I hadn't seen this. Yeah.
All right. So I will roll 3 with my 2 composure. Meddling with Nigel. Oh. That's a 6.
That is.
I rolled a 2 and a 3 plus 2. Sorry, a 7. I squeaked it up.
Now you can mark a crown.
I think I will.
Or you can just let it ride. Because you get to mark XP when you fail. I mean, there's a thing.
Well, I rolled a 7.
Oh. Well, then we don't have to worry about it then.
Yeah. I'll just stick with the 7.
So he says there was a lot of people moving around back and forth and stuff. Both Albertines, Landsberg, Lee was back there. I saw that designer guy back there, that woman who was real quiet, wouldn't eat anything. You saw her back there, the granddaughter was back there. So everybody's moving around back there. But I did see one thing. I don't know whose it was. I didn't see any names on it, but there was an invoice there, partly prepared. I was kind of moving things around. I thought it might have been some of my business notes and things like that. And well past due and a lot of money. $32,000 of debt there that was on final notice from somebody.
Wow. Did you tell the police about this? These things slip.
He says, I don't tell the police shit. I know it might not be the thing from your generation, but I don't say a word to the cops.
Yeah, that makes sense. I hear you.
I like to believe in general they're trying to do their job, but with that Wyman in charge, I think the whole department's just become incompetent.
He says, I have only the nicest thing to say about the police in public.
Well, I loved the food at the auction, despite everything else that was going on. I'm not going to say it was the most memorable thing about that night, but it was among the more memorable things at night. And I throw a holiday party every year when my family comes into town, and we should talk next time.
I do holiday parties. I know I've got a couple of things scheduled for Christmas events and things like that, but give me a call and I'll see if I can pencil you in. Yeah.
Okay, great. This will be earlier in the fall.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. Shall we bring the three of you back together?
Sure.
You are at 9 clues. You're at a +2 on that theorize move.
It's never good enough for Will.
Hey, it's somebody else is going to be doing the rolling. It's going to be Iris who's doing the rolling, I think, today.
So I don't have to propose a theory.
Rose, are you like shaking or anything? From,
yeah. What do they see?
Well, I am haunted by the void now, as a condition for my middling success, and I think. I keep catching sight of things off in the corner of my eye, like people who have seen dead, and we've seen quite a few dead bodies in our time here in Brindlewood Bay. And occasionally, I look in my reflection and I see the bloated face of Mr. Krause staring back at me, and the door moves and it's somebody else behind the window and stuff like that. So Rose is very much trying to keep up a normal pretense of effervescent charm offensive, but is more ringing a bit hollow, And I think as you can see that she's, I think the biggest sign is that when she comes in, she says, decaf, please, honey.
Ria looks at you. Are you all right?
Just a little overdoing it. Just decaf, please.
All right. And she looks at Iris and Bobby like, oh my God.
I think Iris isn't really paying attention. She's just absentmindedly doodling on a napkin there at the cafe, and it's that distended face just over and over and over again.
Bobby's like, oh my gosh, so many old ladies to deal with. I say, yeah, maybe after this mystery, we will take a little bit of a break from mysteries.
We can't stop now.
Rose, I'm worried about you.
Worry about this town, Bobby. Worry about what lies beneath.
Worry about the midwives. Don't let us stop.
I have reason to believe that poor Pauline was strangled with a silk rope.
Did you find the murder weapon?
I saw it.
Did you go by the coroner's? Oh, Rose, no wonder you look pale.
Something like that, Iris. I think it's very strange that Lara would be here. And she's working from Miss Krause, we know that. Now, everyone was inside the hall when the body was found.
Okay,
I wonder if maybe she's in over her head, but maybe her hands are far too dirty for us to clean.
let's just deal with the murder in front of us.
But they're all connected, don't you see, Bobby?
That's just something for the books, Rose. You need to maybe take a break from the Amanda Delacourt mysteries a little bit.
I knew you wouldn't believe me.
Rose, of course we believe you. We're just worried about you.
And I told you what you should be worried about, Bobby. But, rather than continue to,
Right, I think
do that. Yeah. What next, guys?
Shall we theorize?
We're at a +2 now. Is that right?
Yeah.
We could theorize. We could. So we got the clues. I mean, my rough pitch is I can't account for the hypodermic needle. Oh, I can account for the hypodermic needle. So the items are being undervalued so that they could be rung in by a ringer. That wasn't on behalf of them trying to scam the estate so much as them looking to scam to get the midwives to get the purchase at a cheaper deal. And in fact, Lily Jacobi was the ringer for hang on, I should write this down as I'm coming up with it, because before I had this,
yeah.
yeah.
Will, I got it. I'm writing.
No, I know, but I should be. I will look at yours while I'm reading this out, because I am free balling it from top of my head.
And we can modify it. Like we can put we should put a theory on the table, and then we can modify to see if some other parts fit better. Yeah.
So ultimately, the whole thing is being run by the Strauss, the Strausses and so forth, the midwives, to get a hold of as much of this lot of the auction as possible. Pauline wasn't in on it and doesn't understand why. Her brother is being blackmailed because he is sleeping with Hasim into going along with this, and Hasim is a happily married man. And it would cost, his entire career to be caught in such a scandal and close the thing. Also, the moth is worth millions, right, in valuation. So that is beyond even the Krauses' resources. However, the Krauses do have the money to pay that past due, those overdue invoices and so forth, which is why he's another reason, he's got the carrot and the stick effectively motivating him. Pauline, however, is, feels that she's ripping off the estate and left that message on Lay's phone, and Lee was the one who left the message, who forwarded the message on because she's scared of reprisal. And it was Lara who killed Pauline. Because
Whoa.
Yeah, she came into town with that hypodermic needle, injected Pauline so that she would be too weak to fight off the. Oh, you know what? I'm going to make it a double whammy of things. It was the doctor who supplied the hypodermic needle to Lara.
Not Nicole Jones.
Yes, and Lara choked her with the silken rope, knowing that it would. The silken rope is just because it's easy to carry. It's smaller. It's not so bulky and everything, and that is to relieve the bruising, to hide the fact that the hypodermic needle was used, and so the coroner's report will accept the strangulation rather than supplying of an illicit drug, which could have only come from the doctor. The "I can help you" was left by Captain Miller, who's had dealings with the midwives before.
Interesting.
I think that accounts for everything.
So the message from Pauline still doesn't make sense to me. Like, who's it referring to?
He is her brother.
But her brother was the one that was lying to her.
Yeah.
Maybe Pauline knew that the auction house was in debt with the invoice. And so she lied about the valuation, where the brother was trying to, maybe was in on this whole scam to kind of launder these items for.
No, I'm wondering if it actually makes more sense, on that note, if it makes more sense for Pauline to be the one on it, but she couldn't go through with it. She was a leak that, she was silencing a weak point kind of thing rather than. So the brother is not the one who's complicit. Pauline is.
So she's afraid, in that case, she's afraid that her brother will find out that she lied about the valuation?
Yes, and that it will reveal, it will blow the whole thing out of the water.
What is Pierre and Hazim's connection then?
That's the complication there, isn't it? Hazim is Pauline's lover. And that message was left on whose answer machine though? Because on that answer machine message only doesn't make sense if Pauline is the.
Well, Pauline might have been calling Hazim, and maybe Hazim was feeling torn.
Yeah, no. Pauline called Hazim, and Hazim doesn't know anything other than that things are dangerous. He's not in on it other than the fact that she was being blackmailed.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the "I can help you" is from George Miller to Hazim, because we found that napkin on Hazim. And Miller is saying, you're going to be in over your head when you deal with these folks. So I can.
Interesting. And so the intimate conversation between Pierre and Hazim is Hazim saying, I think there's something more to this.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Hazim was next on the list to be offed.
Okay. Are you happy with that theory?
Never. Not anymore. Because every time I bring anything in, I'm like, how can this get people killed?
Iris?
This is the part of the game that makes Patrick's brain go cross-wired and in strange directions. This is not me.
Okay.
I love.
No,
I
I
love
mean,
this
I'm
part of the
actually
game.
meaning it's your turn to roll.
Oh, goody. +2.
Mm-hmm.
We can go if you're not feeling confident. We can always do it. Get another clue.
Oh, that's 10.
Oh, thank God.
That is a 10.
Nobody has to die.
In terms of the framing of this, of the, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to. I don't really have any ideas beyond. I would like to again involve Deputy Anderson, and I would like it to be some kind of, you know, like kind of clear up that Lara Sanchez Deputy Anderson sort of mix-up that we had, like as in like to show her that we, whatever this conspiracy is that we are allies against it, and perhaps that she can be an ally to us against it, if that works for, if
That
anyone, you know,
works.
yeah. I can breathe again.
Are we taking down Lara Sanchez?
Because we had a conversation about, me and Lowell had a conversation about this at some point, about like how you could take out the conspiracy figures by implicating them as a suspect in the murder. And if Amanda Krauss had been in this, I would totally have been all over that, but she hasn't really been in this. So Lara Sanchez being in town, being spotted dealing with people in a previous of mystery, and the whole setup of everybody being inside the auction house, that it had to be, you know, this is the rare case where it was somebody outside of the episode,
Right.
of the bottle, you know, of the bottle of the episode. If you're not happy with it being Lara Sanchez,
No, I love it. I think it's great.
because I
feel better about treating her so badly.
So are you calling and telling Deputy Anderson? Is that what is going on here?
I feel like and she stood on the dumpster because it was snowing,
right?
And she was checking out how easy it was to step on the dumpster and climb over the wall and not leave any footprints behind.
So who are you telling? You telling Dalrymple? You telling Anderson?
I think we're telling Anderson.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like perhaps, so in our whole theory, I feel like we're telling Anderson with Hazim backing up the blackmail side of things. You know what I mean? Like we lean on the right, we gather the evidence that supports this theorizing enough to bring Anderson in on it and convince her, rather than just reel off a wild theory that has no, you know. So I guess Hazim is a person who can confirm that.
And Hazim will say Pauline was being pushed by someone. I mean, she was in desperate financial straits. Things had not gone well. They burned through the settlement from the family, and this is not the economy for being that kind of low-key antiques dealer. And she was approached by some people who said that if she did this with the moth, then she would be able to get a great deal of money. And it was something she didn't want to do. And I knew that I should have done something. I didn't think it would come to this. And Anderson will kind of listen to this, and she goes, "We get the hypodermic that you mentioned. Are you certain that Dr. Jones supplied that?"
My husband Arthur died of what they said was an accidental overdose of his medication prescribed by Mrs. Jones's predecessor, and he only took exactly what he was prescribed. He didn't take one pill more or less. He The only way he could have overdosed was if someone put something different in that pill. And here in a small town like Brindlewood Bay, and what I'm saying is that I could never get in access to the, the pharmacy
Mm-hmm.
like thing in the records there. I could only ever get what thingy, but I'm sure sheriff's deputy wouldn't have any problem finding such a thing.
And I think that what we'll see is, the montage of the police, raiding Sanchez's car, her hotel room. They will find the silken rope, and they will find a lot of essentially the drug that she was injected with, and they can trace that lot number back to Dr. Jones. And they will arrest Dr. Jones for essentially accessory to murder.
And they round up Lily Jacoby, who nervous and flighty, terrible liar, probably cracks right underneath the pressure.
Absolutely,
And,
she was in there to she was told to do the buy, and she was going to get a lot of money for doing this. She didn't want to, but she had her own debts, and she didn't know who hired her, but she knew that Pauline was in on this, and it was all supposed to go down, and it should have been easy, and she will crack. And I think that we will cut to a scene, after a couple of days of Sanchez being on the lam, and I think we cut to the cold wind blowing, and we can see the ocean in the background, and we're on a cliff, and we see the bag come off of Sanchez's head, and we can see that she's standing there. She's cold. She's crying. She has the zip cups on her, and you will see these hooded figures, and we will see Amanda Krause pull back her hood, and she will say, "You did so much for us. You could have joined us so easily. You worked all of this. You would have become one of the anointed. You would have become the maiden. Sometimes the maiden has to be sacrificed, and you told them. I know you told them. I could feel it in her heart." And another figure steps forward, and you'll see the figure just reaches out their hands and just pushes. And there's that long shot of Laura Sanchez falling off the cliff into the water. And we cut back up to the top of the cliff as the wind grabs the hood and pulls it back. And we see Deputy Anderson. And Krause says, "Now you are the maiden." Does that sound reasonable?
yeah.
But you definitely solved the mystery. And Hazim is endlessly thankful to you for having done this. And generally, there's good feeling in the town for you having quickly solved this horrible murder. But lots of people talking about, well, who was behind it? What was somebody hired them, and but they were through cutouts, and that sort of rumor is bubbling around in the background.
Can I suggest something? It might be a bit much. The next time, see Deputy Anderson, and wave her across the street. And as she walks, like as she gets into a car and drives away, you can see the bloated, like pale body of Lara Sanchez in the passenger seat of the cop car,
Nice.
looking out at Rose as the car drives down
Oh
the
yeah,
road.
I think that's perfect. Just a sudden shock.
Yeah, and then haunted by the void still.
Any other end scenes you want to do before we go to XP? Bobby, do you want to?
I have a I have a
Iris?
crown scene.
Okay, yeah, we still have to resolve that.
So the one I marked was a private side of you very few get to see. And I think this is at Iris's home. We've been out on the screened-in porch so often, but this is inside. It's in the living room with like the ancient 70s pattern couch with the Afghan over it, and she's in like a worn out lazy boy recliner. And you see this little like cathode ray TV in front of her. And it's whatever the local baseball team is.
Okay.
And it's up there, and you see her hand like reach over from the side of the chair to a little table and grab a can of beer as she like slugs some back and then just starts letting out this string of curses. It's you shitty umpire. Do you not see what's happening? The damn ball went right past. God, dumbass. I don't even know what these fudging people are trained for anymore. Like, she won't say the F word, but she'll say pretty much everything else. And it's just this nonstop cursing and yelling at the screen for every missed ball, for every like weird call, for every commercial break that came at a wrong time, for the announcers just saying stupid things. Why would you even say that? And there's just like a growing pile of empty beer cans next to her chair there.
Bobby, let's have an end scene from you. Anything we want to do on screen here?
For Bobby?
Yeah. I've got one if you don't have something.
I would like to hear your idea.
Maybe Hazim looking through the jewelry that you have.
Yeah, that sounds great. I was going to do Newsom.
Okay.
But I like Hazim. And we are at my house, and I'm just sort of going over my collection. And I realize how much I needed the break from sort of from everything. And it's pretty clear from what we see on the screen that Hazim is just being polite at this point. But he's sort of welcoming the break from, the sort of the detachment from everything that had been going on.
But I think there's a moment where he has a sharp intake of breath.
Okay.
And you see him reach down, and you thought you put this elsewhere. I mean, you said you tucked it away, but he picks up that mermaid pin.
Yeah, that's I had put that away. I'm worried about it. It concerns me.
I do a lot with jewelry, and I was talking with Pauline. I was trying to get like who was behind this, what was going on, and she said she wasn't certain, but she saw the person she met with had a pin, and this is what she described.
A mermaid, just like this one.
Just like this one.
Rose is right. These murders are all connected.
And I think we cut from that to XP. Rosemary, you solved a mystery. Mark an XP.
Mm-hmm.
Did you secretly undermine the authority of a local official?
I'm not sure how secretly it was in the end, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't like the secretly, but I like the undermine the local officials. I'll give you the XP for that.
Cool.
Did you share a memory of a late family member?
I should always take that because I can just relate everything back to my dead husband.
Absolutely.
I do feel that I've cheated slightly by having a character who's already so invested in investigating mysteries.
That's fair. It's dragged you down under in a lot of ways. So, Bobby, XP for solving a mystery.
Yep.
I think. Did you share? Did you share your wisdom with a young person?
I did, I believe, with Hazim, maybe when we were talking about jewelry.
Mm-hmm. I would say both Hazim and with Lee.
Yep. And I doted on Lee when she.
Yeah, definitely. So another XP for that.
Yep.
I think you all doted on me as well.
And Iris solved a mystery, so that's an XP.
Yep.
Did you secretly or not so secretly undermine the authority of a local office official?
Will admit that I completely missed the word secretly in there, and I don't know if Iris would have done it secretly anyways, but yes.
Give you a point for that. Did you dote on someone?
In really unfortunate ways, yes. I was trying to dote on Deputy Anderson as the real power behind the police force, and for a brief moment in between suspicion and terror, I was doting on Captain Miller for the loss of his poor wife.
All right. Now, I need to ask all of you a meta question. There is an end game for Brindlewood. You need more void clues, but we could certainly push that up and we could do that end game next time. Or we could schedule another final round of this somewhere down the road, a couple months, maybe January, February, to do the final third. Strong feelings either way. I can do this either way.
I would definitely play this again.
Will, Bobby, you've been here the longest. Do you feel that you want to go to that last step, or do you want to see the third layer first?
So, I don't want to stop playing Gauntlet Bay. So that's one thing. And I also feel that the space for it could be cool. I don't want to, Sabine's had obvious reasons for not being able to attend and stuff. So I would like to make sure that she's okay with whatever, because it's sort of dropping her back into the end, you know what I mean? As opposed to the development towards it. So those are my reasons against going with the one right there. However, I would also love, I would love to come back, and I would definitely agree to do so at some other point and make it work in my schedule. But my point for doing it next is literally just momentum, and when we played originally, we had we had Scott instead of Patrick, and I just worry about that potential not being able to align. If we align it with, if Sabine's able to come next week, then we can do next week. If she's not, then we could try and schedule in another. You know what I'm saying? I don't want. It's the difficulty of scheduling, even with the best of intentions, can sometimes leave another person out. You know what I mean? Out of five of us. So that's how I'm feeling. I guess if I could boil it down, it would be a push towards doing it next session, as long as we can all be here. If we can't all be here, do another normal mystery and defer to either do a 2-shot of the Void mystery or another third of another season of Brindlewood Bay. That's my pitch, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar. I feel like just even narratively, at least Rose and Bobby would be like, okay, we've heard enough. We need to go after Amanda now. They wouldn't sort of wait a little bit more. So
I think that's fair. Let's do this. We'll see. I'll check in with Sabine and see what Sabine's, and I'll put it to Sabine like in that way, that here's what we're talking about, here's what we're thinking about, and when I hear back from them, I'll follow up with you three on that. Does that seem fair?
Sure.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, thank you very much. Do you want to do a quick stars and wishes?
100%.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Patrick, thoughts? This session versus last, the mystery.
So I'll start with wishes. I don't know. I've played a couple different Apocalypse keys. I've played a couple sessions of this, and the mystery structure, the theorizing, still just boggles my mind. I don't know. My brain doesn't work that way. But I am really I've really been enjoying all the other parts of it. And the setups for the mystery themselves are very interesting. It's the procedural and then the theorization part that starts to eat away at my confidence. But stars wise, this session was just wonderfully creepy. Like I definitely agree with what you're saying about momentum, Will, of things have been little shadows in the background or little things that you thought moved out of the corner of your eye or things like this. And this one especially just dove straight down into the ghosts and tentacles and hauntings and weirdness. And yeah, things seem to be unfolding. Will, I love that move you came up with, and the whole scene by living and the dead was just wonderful. And Dan, I love poor Bobby's sort of put upon oh gosh, I have to take care of these crazy old biddies. It was really good, and just a tiny little delightful star for Newsome.
Good character.
Awesome. Will.
I will go the other way around. Stars, the weirdness, of course, was all wonderful. I love it. I enjoyed also the opportunity to be joining those dots and being it's all connected. I really enjoyed that whole, because they didn't go into that scene planning that, and then I was like, of course, this is how conspiracy theorists start. Mm-hmm. I'm just right. I loved that we with that bit where we split even. I felt like that was kind of like a natural part where I went down a weird route and you went down the sort of the thing to come back together. Bobby, I loved how passive aggressive you were with Lara. That was perfect. I loved how that was the three different aspects of woman having a go at poor Lara Sanchez, or poor. And Iris, the bluntness, the sort of the power and the enthusiasm. I feel like it's similar to the energy of Rose, but in a different manner and a more slightly cantankerous one. It's great. Wishes, I guess a lot of it's going to depend on what we actually do in the next one. I wonder about whether the others wish to be, how to bring the others into the weirdness so much, because Rose is, it's a very unique personal experience, isn't it? It's not I can click my fingers and fire appears kind of thing. It's here, cut your arm with this straw and talk to the dead. Okay. But I think that's more about whether the other characters want to be, how much do the characters want to dip their toes into that area.
Mm-hmm.
And there is one, the theorized part is the thing that is actually all the tension and the drama around it. I do actually really love that game and the part of the structure. I do completely appreciate how it's difficult and it requires slightly moving your brain off to the left kind of thing and build a narrative. But I do really love coming up with those theories and things. I just worry that maybe I'm pushing those a bit much, because I look at all those
eternally happy to have you theorize. Yes. I'll just say that for me personally.
Yes.
Cool. Because it's one of those things where I like doing it, and I thought this time we got to have a bit of a, but it just reminded me that last time I came up with that one, and I didn't want to be stepping all over that move, you know. But thanks, guys.
Dan.
Yeah, I'll start there. It is a joy to watch you, Will, construct theories. I agree with Patrick. That's just not how my brain works. I'm not sure I can sort of stitch all of those things together. But watching you move those puzzle pieces around is part of the fun for me. So a star to Will for theorizing with the best. And Iris's moment with Miller was a standout for me because we really got to see multiple sides of your character, Patrick, that I really appreciated, where she wasn't just sort of she's quick to judge, but was happy to amend her judgment when she saw kind of more circumstances. And I thought that takes some nuance with the character.
I really liked how that scene went.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Lowell, Newsom was fantastic. I just love playing that scene with Newsom. So thanks for that. My only wish is, and this is my wish last time, and this is on me, but I have a new move about a sibling who's my polar opposite, and I really wanted to bring her into it. Her or him into it. And I think once we get into the larger conspiracy, maybe I'll have an opportunity to do that. So.
Okay. Yeah, I'd forgotten that too. And I had written it down from your wishes from last time. And so that's on me as much as anything.
No worries.
You think it would help to put them in if you grab like a screen, you know what I mean? Just grab a screenshot and a name, and then they become like an NPC.
Oh yeah,
and then it.
Yeah, we want to put them in the NPCs and clues for this mystery, because I'll be going back this week and I usually copy that over and then use that as the template for the next thing. Yeah, you know what you say about the theorizing is interesting, because it does feel like an interesting part of the game that, like, I hate riddles. Like for me, we've had this conversation, Patrick. Yep. I hate riddles in games with a passion, but I love logic problems, especially like those cross logic problems and things. And for me, this feels right in that for me. But I can, as Dan said, I can absolutely see, or actually, as Will said, I can absolutely see where it is not people's bags, because it does require, like, you have to stop and go a very different meta approach in some ways to the play, and I think that can be a real challenge. Thank you all so much. Yes.
I think it just occurs to me that now that I think about it, theorizing is basically coming up with a convincing lie.
Yes.
You know, you have to account for all the things, etc. I don't know what that says about me.
All right, I'm going to stop the recording.